and she 11 in Mexico in a house where they got $100 a day to buy food and go to school, but there was absolutely no grown up. And so he actually saved his sister a couple of times, and then he went back to his parents, and then he had to save his mother from his father. And so he decides, I'm never going to let anybody bully anybody again. I will devote my life to this. And so he 8 grades in school, and he 8 grades and buys stuff and gets his truck and gets his grades and goes into the army. And then from the army, he one day, when he has like 5 months left of 5 years, this sergeant comes in and bullies him in a way that just is too much that day. All other days he could have handled it. But that day he said, I had a blackout. So he blacked out and he knocked him down. And that was the end of everything. Does that sound fair? No. So the baseline is, to avoid that, we need to control our nervous system so that our bad day is not as bad as other people's bad days, right? And one way to do that is just to lower your adrenaline. If you lower your adrenaline, you lower your blood pressure. Anybody here have high blood pressure? My mom does. So here's the surprise. You probably realized this already, but I just understood the other week. We're mammals. You were born into a mammal. You didn't choose the size, the gender, the color, the country, the parents, nothing. You know, that's why this is such an incredible game, the game of life. And so you have to accept all that. And then realizing if you're a mammal, it means that you can get stressed and you can be funny. Any puppy that is safe, you can throw a ball to it, it'll wag its tail and bring it back if it's safe. Push the cutest puppy in the world into a corner, it will bite you, right? Yeah. And you will bite too if you're in a corner, won't you? Yeah. Anybody here bitten anytime? You don't have to raise your hands. You're all friends living here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how do we just lower that. We lower that adrenaline a little bit. If you do that, you also lower your blood pressure because it's dependent on adrenaline. It's how fast your heart pumps. And your arteries, of course. But it's the combination. So, what? A glass of wine will do that. And you know what? That's actually true. It's been proven. Do you know that the special forces in Sweden, now this is completely, off the record, but it's on the record, but never mind. They don't know where I live. So they have this unwritten rule that after mission, you're allowed to take 2 beers. You take a third one, you're out. Because that's how good it works. It does. So the side effect, all that. Oh. Never mind. So what we're going to do, we're going to do this slightly differently. You've done havening with them, Kerri?
Briefly, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But a lot of them weren't here for any of it, so I think.
Mike?
I think we need a review, because there are a lot of people who have no idea what we're even talking about, what havening is, why anyone should do it.
Yeah, you should.
You should, yes.
Oh, you should. Okay, yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. We're mammals. Anybody here ever went to the doctor and he knocked on your knee with a rubber hammer and your leg went, what's that happening? Yeah, that's a reflex. And the nervous system in a mammal has reflexes. One of those reflexes is if we stimulate certain points rhythmically in a certain way, the part of the brain that tries to be in fight and flight and action goes, oh. Like you pat a dog on the head and it lies down. You have a cat and it starts purring and falls down. It's not just because it loves you, it's because it's a mammal. Okay? So we're going to try some of those reflexes. Now, opposed to the mammals, we also have language. I'm not going to debate if they have language. I mean, we know dolphins have language and whales are speaking, loads of stuff about us. We don't hear what they're saying. But our language allows us to work at the nervous system from 2 places at the same time. If we talk to the nervous system through our sensory parts, which is eyesight, sound, feeling, smell, taste. We go a couple of senses. Did you know that balance is a sense? Try losing it, see what happens.
They might have an idea about that.
They might.
They might.
And so let's try this out. Let's put our hands together like this. Put your feet on the floor if you can, if it's comfy. If you get all the way down.
I'm gonna come kind of halfway just to see.
And the reason you have your feet on the floor is because it makes you grounded. It actually tells your body that you have more balance. That's why we do it. If you sit too pushed back in the chair, you're closing your lungs and diaphragm. It's all neurobiology. I've learned. Okay, so put your hands together, and then we do a circular motion like this. And when you do a circular motion like this, you are now starting to send millions of bits of information into your brain. Literally, we have so many nerve endings in the hands. If the hands, compared to any other part of your body, like your arm or your elbow, or your leg or your knee, were the same size as the amount of nerve endings it has, your hands would be this big. You can learn to read braille. You can read like blind braille. Oh, braille. Sorry, I'm Swedish. You can learn to read braille by using your fingertips, right? And you can read it as fast as somebody reads a book. And that's incredible. Anybody here does that? No one? Okay, so incredible amounts of sensory acuity in your hands. And now I want you to ask your hands, are they warm or cold? Are your hands dry or humid? Are your hands coarse or are they soft as baby's cheese? Your opinion. So it doesn't matter what they were. It's irrelevant. What's relevant is that you have activated your interoception, the communication from hand sensor system brain. So the combination of doing this, perceiving this, and sensing this means that as long as you do this, it's biologically impossible to have a panic attack. How about that? And it's included at the same price. So this can lower your blood pressure, this can lower your adrenaline, this can lower stress. At the bottom end of every single thing that can happen to us at a higher age, with cardio and everything, stress is at the bottom. It's the root. You lower stress, you raise your immune system. You lower stress, you get more rest at night. You lower stress, your blood pressure goes down.
They're hitting all their big wants.
Exactly. My mom could be sitting here right now. I know what she wants. And that's what I'll be wanting too. Okay. So while you're doing this, as long as you do this, you can't have a panic attack and you can't help but become a bit calmer. So when something happens, somebody tells you, hey, what about my grandkids? And they say, yeah, your grandkids are fine. One of them borrowed your car yesterday. Okay. Okay, so let's do some hating. Useful. And then have some wine. See, this is the wisdom I'm talking about. I told you were wise. So as you're doing this right now, you get that. Those of you who feel like it, you might choose, if you watch me, I'm just going a little bit from side to side. If you can't see me for any reason, just trust me. So I'm wobbling a little bit from right to left and left to right. This engages micromotor muscles in your back that will freeze if you're afraid. You are now countering hypervigilance and adrenaline and cortisol in a second way. This is how people pray. In Jewish traditions, if anybody's Jewish, it's called shuckling. In Buddhist traditions, yeah. Now you're Jewish? Yeah. So you know. In Buddhist traditions, it's called something else. In Muslim traditions, it's called something else, but everyone does it. Why? Because it works, because we're mammals. And if you ever seen the movie The Cuckoo Who Flew Over the Nest, I don't know if you've seen it. What does the person do that comes back from electrode treatment? At the end, they sit like this in the corner because that's how we placate ourselves. We're mammals. And so, if you want, you can experience the deluxe version of this, the luxury version that almost nobody gets to have. Only people here, and only because Kerri's mom is
Absolutely.
here. So you can just imagine what she had to go through for me to be here. I mean, Kerri's mom.
That's right. She had to survive 55 years of this.
Are you ready? Okay. If you're comfortable, and only if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. As you close your eyes, go to a memory of a person, a place, an animal, a fantasy that would make you smile. And when you find the smile, that will change your biochemistry. Because when we feel good, we smile. When we smile, we feel good. No, 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 no. Like we knew that we would. Change. And so as you do this and you find the smile and you do the shuffling or the waiting, imagine that memory becoming as vivid as possible, only in the ways that will enhance the smile. And this is actually sports psychology. It's to make people who do sports that require a specific talent to achieve the right state, the state of performance. It's called peak performance states. And did you know that during your whole working life, when you were working, if you had access to an anchor like this so that you can access the peak performance state of, I'm home, darling, let's be family, that would be very relaxed. And work would be left at the door. And inside the house, only family would be. But that's not always possible because everybody doesn't learn this. But you can teach your kids and your grandkids. You can get the car back. So just as you sit there, I will do a Swedish mystical meditation music on the grand piano that we rolled in, that I didn't know that you had. And as you listen to it, just keep doing this, keep smiling, and allow your mind to wander. And when I say wonder, I mean like the seven wonders of the world. Like Roy Orbison. He really wondered. One of his songs was titled, I Am the Wonder. So just relax on that. And stay where you are and just allow whatever these tones coming from the dark woods of Sweden where the elk dance in the moonlight. Thanks. just stay where you are. Keep the smile. Notice how the last tone stays. And imagine having this wonderful drive-in movie in your head. A drive-in movie with 2 screens. Now start going back to the memories of drive-in movies. Now, this is another one, okay? So to your left, you have 1 screen, and to your right, you have another. Now just take that good memory and put it on one of those screens. Take the good memory and put it on one of those screens, either to the right. If you don't, do it in front. Have you chosen right or left? That's fine. Not succinctly, I don't know that you're here. There will be one later, I don't know. Okay? And so the screen you chose, right or left, is the one that I suggest that when you feel good memories coming to you, when you see a picture, smell a smell, feel a sensation, taste, meet a person, that triggers a good memory, and immediately throw it up on that screen on that side. And allow you to see it in full detail and smile at it. If there's a tear of joy or remembrance, or even, I wish it would be that way today, or whatever, you can still honor it on that screen. Right? The other screen, regardless what side it was, and you just move it so far away that you hardly see it. Which means it becomes very small, almost like something that only you and I have experienced, a stamp. Now this is before email. So it's small as a stamp, and as you see that stamp screen to the other side, that's where you put the memories that you probably wouldn't have. If anybody annoys you. And phone calling is just fine. I mean, that's the way it is. Ernest Hemingway wrote a book that For Whom the Bell Tolls. Now this one tolls not for us. But that's good. And while we're here right now, imagine the small screen far away. And that screen accompanied by the joyful vibrance of a modern cell phone. That's where you put all those things. You can even put that phone there. Like a bird. And now just realize what it feels like to know where you can put all the good stuff and where you can put the less good stuff. And now take a deep breath. Hold it. Turn the smile up another notch. Breathe out. Notice. Now this is your smile. You get to keep it after we go. Just have that in there. Every time you smile, you will come back to the sensation. And now you can open your eyes, come up to full consciousness. Lift your hands up like this towards the dark screen, the one you don't want, wherever that was. Okay? And I do like this. Here you go.
That's my favorite part.
Mine too.
So that was hypnosis, by the way. Trance
Mhm.
with a little havening.
Mhm. That's some Swedish folk music.
So tell them why you separated the screens on the left and the right. Why is it important to do that? And what does it do for them really quickly?
So you have wardrobes? Closets? Okay, closets.
Closets.
You have closets? And
That's
in the
my
closets,
my
there's,
mother. He has a long closet.
that's all right, I like it. So you have closets, in the closets you have clothes. And you have maybe 100% clothes in your closet. Out of those 100, you usually use 20%. True. So the 20% are going to be on one side of the closet and the 80% on the other, just to make it easier for you to grab them in the dark. So that's how we sort outside our brain stuff we want close to us that we like, that makes us happy, and stuff that we might not need or want, but we don't want to throw away yet. And with good and bad experiences, it's the same. The brain does the same thing inside as on the outside. So what you just did is you did a sorting where you had a good memory and you put it and you found your good side in your head. And therefore, you could also have the side of the stuff you don't want to bring up all the time. And when it comes to sad experiences and bad experiences, we don't throw them away. That's what made us wise. Without no pain, there's no transformation, you know? I mean, have you ever read a fairy tale that says, she and he were born, they were happy, and then they died? No, that's not even exciting. And where does the fairy tale end? What does it say in the end? Happily ever after, right? And you know why it ends? Because that's boring. There's not going to be a Netflix series saying happily ever after, and all it is people being happy. No, the transformation is in your obstacles. You know, everything that transformed you into that made you wise and humble were things that hurt. And that's how we, live this experience of life, and we learn things, and we get up, and we get up, and that's how we learn how to walk. And that's what the soul does. And so your mind and your soul can simply look at this too. I mean, so you have the stuff that you want to be smiling at, and you have the stuff that made you who you are, but you want it at a safe distance because you're not going to wear it every day.
And the brain naturally sorts it.
Yeah.
How many of you absolutely knew which way it went for the positive? It was right or left. I mean, you just kind of know, it belongs, for me, the good belongs on the right. And yeah, but for a lot of people, it can belong on the left. But it's a really fast way to get rid of overwhelm because it kind of opens up the screen in a way. And I feel like a lot of us get really overwhelmed and we don't. So that's a tool for all of you. You just, you close your eyes. Like I said, I'll give you guys some stuff that of leading some of these things, but he kind of gave you havening and some hypnosis and a quick tool just kind of move things out of your way. And we've been practicing this in the jail, just kind of closing our eyes, good on the right, for me, bad on the left, moving it back, away, and then coming back to the right.
Interesting thing that happened at the jail. Some people they said, I have a hard time placing this person. Because you can place people on one of the screens, right? People in your life. And one said, I want to place my ex-husband. But I can't put him to the left. I can't put him to the right. I said, that's normal. Because every person has likable traits and traits we would wish they didn't have. So you can actually separate them because your mind is yours. It's your fantasy. You can do whatever you want with it. If nobody told you, starting out. So you can divide that person into everything I like about that person on the good screen and everything I'm not sure I like about that person on the other screen. And now you're starting to help your subconscious mind to sort stuff you like about people and like less. And now you're suddenly understanding why you feel uncomfortable when that person comes in the room. Because they fit exactly with that person on the screen. Because we're mammals. It's not this mystical thing of psychology where you have to find out, if you had your childhood or whatever, to know why you're feeling uncomfortable with a person or a situation. You feel comfortable because you don't know how to handle it. When you don't know what to do, when you don't have the information, resource, or skill, uncomfort is your body's and brain's and self-assurance and soul's way of telling you, hey, you got to learn something. That's all it is.
And people don't like uncomfortable. What do they like? Comfort, right? And that glass of wine gives you what? Right.
And what happens if you're equally comfortable every day after day after day after day? What happens then? Bored. Exactly. You're bored. So
wine.
Too much wine. So you like the comfort, you like the wine. Too much wine, too much comfort, uncomfortable and drunk. Makes sense, right?
I think we should finish havening. Can we finish havening? Can we talk about havening really quick? Because havening's a really fast tool that, and it's as simple as rubbing your hands together, but there's 2 other techniques. I don't want to skip them.
You don't want to skip them?
I don't want to skip them.
Okay, she doesn't want to skip.
I don't. I want them to have them. I want them to leave here going,
You really
I've
like
got
these people?
I do. I do. It helps my mental health to help her mental health.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, in Cuba, they say happy mom, happy house, unhappy mom, unhappy house. Goes for mothers all generations down. So, what? Yeah. Okay, let's do this again. So the hands have so many points on them. Let's do it together. The hands have so many points on them that stimulate. Now, here's the thing. Do you know what the stroke test is? Stroke test? If you want to, yeah, if you want to find out if somebody might have had a stroke or not, which people today have from the age of 40. So if you want to find out that, you can do the smile test. What happens when you smile? Yeah, one side drops, right? Or you can just put your arms up like this, one arm drops, or put them out like that, one drops. Put your tongue out, it doesn't go the way you want, it goes the other way. It can other times as well. So the reason is your left brain controls your right side of your body. Your right brain controls the left side of your body. That's why it won't work. So usually it's on one side or the other. That's how you quickly can find out and quickly get care. And that can save a life. So it's important. So by doing this, we're doing something called bilateral stimulation. Is that a question? Oh. So bilateral stimulation means left hand stimulating right palm, telling left brain, and the other palm doing the other thing. We're actually getting this pattern in the brain, like a director going, sleep, sleep, you know, fine. And so there are two more ways of doing this specific technique. I mean, there are a million ways of placating ourselves. What do you do when you forget something? You close your eyes. What do you do when you forget something too much? You hit your head, right? If you don't have a hat. So these are placating behaviors. So the other one is over your shoulders like this. Over your shoulders. Now this is more bilateral stimulation because the brain gets slightly confused because now the left hand is hitting the right shoulder, telling the left brain, telling the right brain, telling the left hand, telling the right shoulder, right? It gets confusing with double negations and everything, but it's good. If you want it to be even more confusing, if you're curious, and before I tell you that, I will tell you something else to keep you busy tonight. It's impossible, according to research, to lick your own elbow. Now, the curious ones will try. You can talk about it at breakfast. So what can really confuse the brain is if you try doing this
My favorite one.
with your hands crossed. Because now the brain is going, I understood the other part, but who is doing this? Oh no, what's happening? I am possessed in a good way. Okay, and now you can do your head. So forehead, cheeks, like washing your face. So the reason this works the way it does, according to theory and science, is because the vagus nerve that controls the balance between stress and rest passes through the face. That's why we show with our facial expression if we're angry or happy, because all these muscles, you're just calming down the muscles, telling the body to relax. If you want to put a baby to sleep, just do like this on the face, really soft with your fingers, works fine. It's stimulating the vagus, right? And then back to the shoulders and back to the hands. And now we'll throw in, for the same price, a complete reset of the brain. So if you want to reset the brain, you want to reset the working memory. To reset the working memory,
No, so what happens when you relax your nervous system is energy gets to leave, so yawning is normal. That's okay. We'll be releasing energy together.
You could do it for.
yeah, exactly.
Mirror neurons.
And you see we're flock animals and we co-regulate. If one starts relaxing, the rest will too. It's like somebody yawns and goes, I feel safe. You do? I'll do too.
Nobody running from the bear is yawning. They're not.
And if you are, you might want to see Kerri or somebody to help.
Or go to Sweden.
Or go to sleep.
I'm gonna start going to Sweden, not to Simon this week. I'm coming to see Ulf and Melanie.
That's good. We look forward to it. So to reset your working memory, we need to distract it. To distract it, we need to do things together in a flow. Flow is when you do things without thinking. You know the kids' game of, yeah. And you try to do it faster and faster, and you go, That's called playfulness. Now we're going to do that, but we're going to do it working with a memory of the brain. Say after me. 5, 62, 483, 3,651. 41,777.2.3.4.5. Let's say the word right. Spell it forwards phonetically out loud. RIGHT. Wonderful. Sesame Street. Okay. And now you
Just make up your own words.
and now you close your eyes because you need to engage your visual cortex to spell a word backwards. You need to see it. You can't just do it phonetically. So see the word right in front of you. And now let's spell it backwards. TGYZF.
Don't listen to her.
I have all the school teachers here going, that's not right. Well, that is right. So now we're gonna hum. Go after me.
It's okay.
Hum.
You need to relax.
A little bit lower. Hum. A little bit higher. Hum. And exactly at the place where you feel comfortable. Hum. Put your hands up. Go. Excellent. So, I don't know if you notice it, but we've occupied your working memory by keeping a speed where you had to do things, so you couldn't think of anything else. While we did this, which one of you were thinking about washing up? None? Grandkids borrowing the car?
No.
Excellent. So we used phonetic forwards, that's the sound part of our brain. We used spelling backwards from visual, that's the visual part of the brain. We used pattern interrupt with humor, which is me misspelling and you laughing, which is intentional. I'm not that bad at spelling. And we use playfulness and social engagement. And all that does is puts our brain, soul, body system into feeling good. Hopefully. Anybody feel good? So those of you who experienced slightly more good than before we came, can you raise your hand? Those who are feeling a lot worse since we came?
They might not let you come back. I mean, he came to America to go to a jail. I think we got him in here. We spent our week in the jail. I mean, from like 9 to 5.
We don't want to see him there.
I don't know. Our jail's kind of cool. It's my favorite place to be.
If I ever have to go to jail, not as performing workshops, that's the jail I want to go to. Sign me up. Yes, really, absolutely.
Tell them why.
But,
Why go to the Chesterfield County Jail in the HARP program?
okay, so here's the deal. You grow up in a place like the kid I told you about in the beginning, who grew up at 9 and 11, he had to protect his sister and everything. So he was in that jail. He told me the story this morning. And so he came to the point in life where in the Army, he tried to stand up for himself, and he was put in jail and started doing drugs and everything. And he went to one jail and the other, and then he said, he heard about the HARP program, and he said, I want to go there. And they said, you can't. You have to apply. This is not some place you get sent to. You have to say, I want to go there. Please have me in. I know you have a waiting list of over 50 people wanting to go to this jail. Get that?
It's true.
Really?
Yes.
That's just the male side. The female side is about the same. Yeah.
Because in this place, you will be provided with a safe space for the first time in your life where nobody wants to harm you. And everybody has signed the same agreement. No harm, no swear, no drugs. We're all here for each other, and we love each other, and we're going to do this as a family. And for many of them, they've never experienced that. And I said, I know a lot of people who never experienced that outside jail either. And so for the first time in their life, and thanks to it being a jail, being a confinement, it's a safe space that's contained. There's no way drugs are going in or out. There's no way nobody's going to come in and beat them up. They can sleep safely, wake safely, talk safely, be vulnerable, cry safely. And now for the first time in their life, they have a safe space. So what are they missing? Information, resources, and skills. And that's what the staff teaches them. And when they get out of there, those who have been in the program before, they're called alumni, and they now help them to adapt to the real world. It can't be better. Send my kids there if they weren't already okay.
But the skills that, like the skilled havening today, that's a skill that we use every day. Because your brain and your body need a lot of reminders that they're okay, because we live in a world that goes fast, fast, fast. And so we, also been kind of upping our game this week, which has been really cool, because he brought so many more tools, but we all need tools, not just people in jail, all of us. I run 1,000 miles a minute in the jail. I need a wolf on my shoulder at all times. But I have the tools to bring myself back to center. And that's what mental health is. It's your ability to regulate your nervous system, period. And most of us were not taught. And you can't think your way out of it, I don't think. And you certainly can't talk your way out of it. But I do think you can sing your way out. You can dance your way out. You can write your way out. You can tap your way out, which we'll do next. You can haven your way out. You can do different exercises. You can visualize your way out.
But none of that is going to work unless you feel safe.
Right. Yeah. Safety is the thing. So love is the secret sauce of HARP. Everybody asks, why does HARP work? HARP works because the sheriff gave us the space to bring a staff in that I get to lead every day. And we love each other. We love them. They love us. It's the craziest thing ever in a jail. But one of my girls who'd been there for almost 3 years left this morning, and I cried yesterday. I cried this morning. She cried this morning.
They cried because she was getting out of jail.
Yeah, cried. Cried.
Yeah.
Literally, as she said, I love you so much. You saved my life. You have changed me. Right. But she's changed us. That's the thing. It's not a top-down thing. It's reciprocal.
That's what I want my kids to tell me as a parent. Yes.
Any returns?
Yeah, recidivism.
So the recidivism rate, so the national percentage of people who leave jail and recommit crimes is like 77%. So 77%, if not higher, get out of jail and they go back to same crime, same life, and they come right back to the system. Our recidivism rate in HARP is about 26%. So only 26 come back. Now, the 26 that come back typically come back if they make it back, because some of them die in between, and that's always my fear. But they come back. We have a few, ultimate one that is waiting to come back into HARP, and he can't wait. But when he saw me, he said, "Miss Rhodes, I'm so sorry." And I said, "God, don't be sorry." My thought is we didn't give him enough. He didn't have enough information. He didn't have enough skills, and he didn't have enough resources when he left. So he needs more. And, and so we're going to do that. And our thing to them is, we love you. We're glad you're here. It's jail, by the way. We're glad you're here and not dead. And we'll keep working, right? We'll keep figuring this out. And that's the model that we have.
And they're still extremely accountable. If anybody steals or swears or brings in drugs, they're out.
It's probably one of the best behaved groups of people I've ever been around. And they're the hungriest for knowledge I've ever seen, ever.
And do you know who does? Yeah, just say. Do you know who decides if they get to join the program or if they have to leave? The other inmates. Exactly.
It stands for Helping Addicts Recover Progressively. But I would say it stands for Helping Addiction Recovery Program. That's what it really needs to stand for. I'm not a fan of anybody being called an addict, because that's not who you are. It's something you struggle with. It'd be like, like I'm a mother, but that's not who I am. It's just a part of me. So, it'd be like saying you're cancer or you're diabetes or you're, that's not who we are. But that's what HARP stands for. And, like I said, it's a program that they run. It belongs to them. It doesn't belong to the sheriff. It doesn't belong to me or my team. We just have the honor of walking with people while they get better. That's what we get to do in there. And then we get to use all these out of the box tools like oath.
And we have another question.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, that was, she said, was that havening we were teaching them? Yes, that was havening. Yeah. And we'll get on to tapping because a lot of them haven't had tapping. And so we could do the elevator speech for tapping and just show them how to tap.
Absolutely. So here's the deal. A psychologist called Roger Callahan, who knew a lot of psychology and also knew something called applied kinesiology. Ever heard of kinesiology? It's muscle testing. You use muscle testing to find out whether there's an imbalance in the body. So the theory is that if you have an imbalance in the kidney and this muscle passes through the kidney and you try pressing this hand and you can't hold up against it, there's something wrong along the road, right? And so that way you can actually test for certain body functions, which you find in certain aspects of biology. And so he was using that, and he was trying to fix a water phobia of a young girl called Mary. And so she was so phobic of water that if she saw water, she would run. And that's what a phobia is. It's a fear that is inexplainable, totally irrelevant, right? And so he's working with her one day, and he's absent-minded, and he's saying something, and he's like tapping on an acupoint on her, like, and she goes, "It's gone." "What is gone?" he says. "It's gone." And she runs down to his pool and says, "Stop, stop." He says, "It's okay. I don't know how to swim, but I'm just going to splash my feet." She splashes her feet. So for some reason, it just, like a reflex, turned off the phobia. So he was, dumbfounded. He started researching it and created a program for how to find out through muscle testing what's the point we need to press on a person. Where's the exact place of the spider phobia or the anxiety for elevators or worrying about grandkids, those spots. What if there's not enough wine? So that's a special spot. and so he came up with a program for that called thought field therapy. The idea is that you have a thought field and you use the body to rebalance it, right? And then this engineer came along called Gary Craig and was like, "That's a very expensive program. You had to sign like non-disclosure agreements. You had to take a mortgage on your house to learn it." And it was like, can we really do that about just how you touch people? Is that really moral? And so he said, what the heck, I'll break the rules. Instead of all this muscle testing and everything, instead of finding which one, how many points are there, by the way? Around 14? Okay, what if we tap them all? We're going to hit one of them sooner or later. So EFT was born. Emotional freedom techniques, right? And so that builds on the fact that you just connect to whatever it is that bothers you. So you activate it by saying something that connects you to it, and then you tap all those points. And when you connect to something by talking about it, that can be iffy in many ways. Because if I want to help you, and you're saying, "I'm having this issue," I'm saying, "Are you sad about something?" I'm opening Pandora's box of sad. That wasn't your problem. You were just having a pain in your shoulder. So instead of assuming stuff, me and Gunilla, my colleague in the tapping, we started her work and our work in Rwanda with the genocide survivors. 25% of the population in Rwanda had post-traumatic stress. So we decided to spread these techniques for free down there. Prison, normal people, gender-based violence survivors, liberated child soldiers. And we've reached almost 300,000 people now in 45 countries. And it's working. Holy cow.
In all these places, yeah.
Holy cow, it's India, but I agree. So what we said was the phrases are not going to work here. And there were also some eye movements that they're not going to work. Moving your eyes can be painful, especially if you're traumatized. The occipital nerve goes through the whole brain. So just the fact of moving your eyes can be painful. Also, in the culture and context of Africa, moving your eyes means you're possessed by a demon. Not so good. So we took away the eyes. And so we decided that we would make it a first aid technique. So anybody could use it, even a child. Nobody could refuse. Everybody's allowed to do first aid, right? It's not like, oh, you're drowning. Let me give you mouth to mouth. Are you a doctor? No, that's not the way it works. So first aid is fine. So we took away everything that wasn't first aid, including all the talking, and we minimized it down to the points that we found were most efficient. So again, it's a reflex. And here's the full circle now. Tapping was growing. It's been around 40, 50 years now. And a hypnotist called Paul McKenna thought tapping was, wow, I don't have to hypnotize people. I can just tap them. It saves me a lot of time so I can write books. And so he goes to New York and he finds his friend, a doctor called Ron Root. Says, Ron, did you try this tapping stuff? No, I didn't. Try it. I don't believe it. And then Rudin secretly tries it and boom, he realizes it works. And he spent 60 years trying to find out the neurobiological explanation and comes to this thing of stimulating the body will depotentiate the brain. And so he says, is there one more way? Because that's what researchers do. And he found a study saying tapping seems to stimulate the nervous system in the same way as touching. So havening comes from studying tapping. So we're not taking you to the cradle, to the root. Joseph and Maria. In a biblical sense.
And Alt has helped me. We have probably about 250 inmates that are certified in trauma tapping technique, and they use it for themselves every day, but they use it for other people. So if somebody's on the unit and I'm not there and my mental health team's gone and somebody is dysregulated, they're the best therapists on the planet. I mean, you know, we're almost through teaching every one of our deputies and staff in the sheriff's department how to tap, because law enforcement, people who are first responders in this country, they make their living by having their head on a swivel. It's what makes them good at their job, but nobody shows them an off switch. Havening, tapping, off switch. You need off switches. I need an off switch. It's a fast off switch. And like Paul said, it's the body kind of running the show when we're doing that. We're resourcing the body to kind of turn off the brain's alarm and repairing two different signals. But it's super simple to do, and anyone can do it. I've taught 2 and 3-year-olds how to do it. Children clear very fast. I mean, they're like annoyed that you're still trying to tap with them. They're like, I'm done. Yeah, they'll be in the middle of a fit, kicking, screaming, spitting.
We had 4 or 5-year-olds living in muddy, wet tents in refugee camps in Greece from the wars in Syria and Afghanistan and South Sudan, and now Palestine. So all these passed through Turkey going into Europe, and they passed through the Greek islands. And so their torture victims is, if you're sensitive, close your ears. It's not if they were raped, it's how many times, it's 3 to 5. So that's the average, right? So it's terrible. And if you're there voluntary, you cannot give them medication. You cannot give the diazepam or an injection or something like that, like Valium, because if you're a foreign operating in the country, it doesn't matter if you're legislated in another country, you just can't. So we were there, and the only thing we had to offer them, even though we couldn't speak their language, was tapping and havening. And we had people who came in crying, screaming, in panic, ready to kill themselves, that we would meet them a week later. They would be going, hey, how you doing? For real.
And that happens in the jail every day. We have people who can't sleep, who've been on medication their whole life. And I'm not anti-medication, I don't think I'm also anti-medication, but it's a Band-Aid. It will do the job, but you keep needing it. Whereas if you resource the body, you know, in that rest, relaxed state, the body will start to repair itself. It knows what to do, but it only does it when we're in rest and repair. And that's important because a lot of us aren't there. We run 1,000 miles an hour until we pass out. That's the American way, don't you know?
It's not only
Until you come.
And
we
Sweden.
do it in the rest of the world too.
Yeah, but I think we do it bigger.
It's not a competition of who's doing the most right here.
See, this is why we're in trouble.
So, and also, I'd just like to say, you know, one more thing. I mean, the glass of wine, I embrace it. It works, and it tastes better if you're calmer before you take it. So this will enhance all your glasses of wine for here till kingdom come. Only if you're interested. Let's do it. I'm tapping with 2 fingers on the side of my hand, side. That's it. It's called the karate spot, because that's where Bruce Lee would use his hand to break bricks. Be water, be bamboo. Okay? And then you put your thumbs on the side of your, pull your forehead like this. That's your prefrontal cortex behind there. That's why you hit your head when you forget stuff, because you wanted to jump back online. Honestly, it's what. And now you tap your eyebrows where they meet. And if they already met,
You can just use one hand here or two if you want to use one. I use one.
I don't have eyebrows. And then we go to the side of the eyes on the bone. On the bone next to your eyes. The bone that protects your eyes. And you go to the ox bone under the eyes, the bones that rises. You're supposed to do 2 hands, but if I do my microphone, we'll go plump, plump.
You can do one or two. I mean, a lot of the studies with tapping hands better than one.
We work with amputees that have like 1 limb, still works. And now we go to the upper lip. It's actually the root of the front teeth you're tapping.
Right under your nose.
Huh? You tap, I sing Smoke on the Water in my head. Bum, 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 bum. That's enough.
Yeah, so 7 to 10. I would say 7 to 10, but who counts? Who cares?
And then we go under, it's like 10 to 12 to 14 times, doesn't matter, you can't overdose. Even if you wish to. Here, on the chin. That's it, perfect, doing good. And now, this is called gorilla tapping under the clavicle. Gorilla tapping, this is what the gorillas do in Rwanda.
You're under your collarbone. You're not way up here.
You can spread out,
You can use your fist sometimes, or whatever is easier to do.
and you can make noises like, boop, boop, boop. It's very fun, but you don't have to.
Use this on the way home almost every day. I literally just take one hand and I like tap that collarbone bone on the way home just to help myself reset.
And then you put your hand on your shoulder and you do where you have, if you're male, you do it where you would have had a bra strap if you weren't a male. That makes sense?
And for people who don't like this point, and this is not really a TTT point, but I use the wrist.
Yeah.
If people don't like that point, I use a wrist. Just put your wrists together. If that's uncomfortable or difficult. I like it. There are way better, but the wrist.
Doesn't matter if you lose a point or two. It's so the side of the nail on the little finger, the side of the nail on the top.
I'll put my thumb and pinky together so I hold my pinky a little better because it's flat in the wind. And I'm tapping the thumb every single time.
And I like mine being like a flag.
I do these.
And there we go. Next finger, the long finger,
Middle finger, we call it.
middle finger, middle finger, if you have all fingers. And then you go to the index finger. Long finger, side of thumbnail. And from here in TTT, we go back to the chest, the gorilla. Try this. Take a deep breath, breathe in, and make a tone. Fun, isn't it?
They were good.
Yeah, they were good. They beat the pause in prison. Have you been to prison?
Yeah. That's good.
You guys have trained. And now you take 2 breaths. Deep breath in. Hold it. And breathe out. Deep breath in. And breathe out. And you repeat once more.
You don't do the other hand?
You can do the other
You
hand
can
up.
do it if you want.
And you can do your head if you want.
I use head point. They use this. I use the head.
Either way, it's good. Can I use chopsticks? Can I use normal fork? It's all good.
So while Ulf is doing this, and I can't do too, but while he's tapping, so this is something we use in acupuncture to show
We go to the head now.
where points are. So if you're on your head, look right between your eyebrows. So it gets louder. So this is measuring like this energy point, and we're getting acupressure.
Remember that? Eyebrows where they meet.
more energy than just a random place. But we have thousands of energy points on our body.
Especially if you're radioactive.
That's radioactive for sure.
Side of the eyes.
Just as soon as I get close to the eyes, I have way more.
Under the eyes. For your occipital eyes. Upper, that sounds like a giant mosquito.
So that, like if I'm way over here, it's just not as much.
Chin. Gorilla again. Either side or your wrists. Other hand tip of nail. Ring finger. Middle finger,
Got all your fingers.
if you're lucky. Some have 6. Index finger. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay to get lost. That's what I meant. That's why they have lost and found. Then you go to the thumb. Now we go back to the chest. Breathe in. Make a funky noise. The famous vibrato choir of Chesterfield. Let's go. We're going on tour. And then we breathe in. And we breathe out. Second time, we breathe in. Hold it a few seconds. You're not getting more oxygen into your heart and thus into your brain. And as you breathe out with a sigh, letting everything go. Give yourself a hand.
So that's tapping. It's literally that simple. There's a tremendous amount of science behind it because I'm like, well, I want to see the science. But here's the other thing. As a therapist, I don't care if there's science or not. When you sit down, and I've probably tapped with thousands of people, I've never not seen it move things in the right direction, ever. And I tell you, like, I would not be standing here. I mean, it works with loss, grief, anxiety, depression, illness, panic, disease, phobias, cravings.
If they had had this back in the days when they sold snake oil, they would have succeeded.
Absolutely. I can't think of anything it doesn't work for.
And so here's the deal. I work with super traumatized populations. You don't have to ask them to think about it. If they're living in a muddy tent in a refugee camp, you don't have to say, think about something that bothers you, right? And here's the deal again. The brain is like synapses in the brain. They can connect like ever so lightly. So if you feel something, then you're ready to go. If that feeling is something you'd like to answer or take care of or regulate, right? So you don't have to go, I have to think about this or that, because if you're not feeling anything, there's nothing to regulate. So as soon as you have a feeling, so you don't have to, it's like, oh, I feel frustrated. Let's find out what that is.
And typically your brain's going to give you the thing, the specific thing, and we don't have to dress it up with a bow. You can just think about whatever that is, and you will lower the volume that holds. We're lowering the emotional volume and the way that it's held, because all those things are stored in the body and the senses. So we're turning that down.
And it's not going to go down to 0.
No.
If there's something, if the grandkid still has the car. It's going to go down to the suitable level of, can you please come home? Right? But first, if the car is parked, it's possible to go to 0.
Yeah. And Ulf and I, like, we both do a lot of like complicated trauma work. And the other thing, it's like an onion. So if I have somebody that comes to me and they're like, I'm so frustrated, my boyfriend's cheating on me, blah, 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 blah. But if that's really attached to dad left when I was 2 and left us homeless in the street, like, like it's like an onion. So like we might clear this, we might take the emotion off this, but it's only going to go so low if it's attached to other things. And so, but the body will know where to take you. And that's the thing. It's like we jump down rabbit holes for a living with people, and you never know where you're going. But having a tool that just kind of resets you, and whether you want it to or not, will help bring calm to your body. I've had people actively try to fight it in the jail. I had this one big guy. His name was Montreal. Montreal was a big dude, and he was kind of scary, but he was a big teddy bear. And he came into my group, and he was mad. And I make them check in and tell me how they feel. And I got to Montreal, and he said, "Here." I was like, "Jeez." So we were tapping that day, and I put everybody in a group, and he was just fuming. You could just see he was seething. And the guy said, "Montreal, you want to tap on whatever's going on?" He's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, let's just do it anyway, Montreal." He's like, "No." So they all started to tap, and I started to tap. And we were all sitting next to him because we thought, well, maybe this will catch. And it does, because you co-regulate. And I knew it would. And so then he starts to tap with us. But he says when he starts to tap, he's like, "I'm going to beat this lady. Like, I'm going to show her this crap does not work."
Our son would say that.
And so we get 5 minutes in, and he's trying to fight us, and the guys are tapping, and I'm tapping, and we get to about minute 6, and we've probably done 3 rounds at this point, and he starts to laugh, and he goes, "Dang on it, I tried to beat you." And I said, "There was your first mistake." But, he became like, he tapped every day. He tapped every night. And when we get on the video, he came up and told, the story of trying to beat it. Because you can't beat your body. You just can't. And he'd been angry his whole life. And when he started to get control of that, oh my God, what a beautiful human.
You had a question?
Fight anxiety.
Mhm.
What should I do? I'm out someplace and suddenly.
Yes.
So can I repeat the question for you?
Yeah,
Just so they can-
please do.
Yeah. So she said, I struggle with anxiety. What can I do if I'm out somewhere and I feel my anxiety really rise? What can I do?
Okay, so first of all, every word you use is a metaphor that triggers your nervous system. If you fight your anxiety, you're in war. I'd like to find out how I can dance with my anxiety. See the difference? Don't fight it, don't struggle with it. It's there to help you. It's trying to tell you there's something in this situation that once upon a time was uncomfortable. It could be an unconscious memory from when you were 4 years old in a public space, and all of a sudden this person came up from the left, you didn't see them. We don't know. We don't care. Anxiety says something is not okay. Can we regulate this somehow? Have it go somewhere else, and it might go away, but you'll never find out what it was. Or we can address anxiety by saying, what if we get adrenaline down? Will anxiety still want us to do something about it? Or will it go, oh, so when you get the anxiety, you got to do like this. And then you just go inside your body and you feel, where is my anxiety? Is it in my belly or my chest? It's usually belly or chest. That's where the nervous system regulates fear and anxiety. It's a fight and flight impulse. Or you can do just this, right? You just do that.
Or you can do the hands. A lot of times in public, hands are easy. You tapping those hands, people can't really see what you're doing. Under a table, they can't really see.
But if you're into sports, when you have the absolutely biggest sport events in the US, you will see a lot of the athletes doing this. It's exactly what they're doing. Prince Andrew does it. Justin Bieber does it. Yes, sir. I have a list of celebrities that do this.
Yeah, Madonna's a tapper.
Mhm.
Who else is a tapper? Jelly Roll's a tapper.
Oh,
He is. He's my, yeah, you know him. There's a lot of tappers.
Kerri Rhodes is a tapper.
Kerri Rhodes is definitely a tapper.
And you know how she is. Yes.
send them to the VA hospitals, covering PTSD, etc.
Not at the hospital, not me, have you?
So, no, I'm not, I'm busy in the jail, but I will tell you that there's a lot of studies done with, and Dawson Church, who is a colleague of ours, he has something called it's called the, Veteran Stress Project. And anyone who's a veteran or anyone who's currently serving can sign up and get free sessions of tapping for that PTSD. They are using it with veterans, they're using it with active military and special forces. And what they find is that there's actually an insulating effect to people who learn how to tap before they go into battle, and that they're coming out with far less PTSD. So that is a place where we've gotten a lot of our science. We've used veterans as our petri dish in a way because we know that they need help. So there was a study that they did here in the United States, and they brought in, I think it was like 300 veterans and their spouses. Now, a third of their spouses also had PTSD because we co-regulate. And after 6 tapping sessions, 85% no longer met the criteria for PTSD. And I think we're at year 4 now in the follow-up study. None of them have had it returned. And I will tell you this, anything I've ever seen anybody clear, I've never seen that come back. I've never seen it. So, that is a place where we've done a lot. There's a lot of research and study, because I really was like, show me the science, show me the people. And we know our veterans are in bad shape, but I wish the VA here in Virginia would be more active with it. But we're trying.
You're losing more veterans
I
to
see.
suicide than inaction.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the case. And so the question is good. I'll give you my first experience of this just to show how the system is. Now, here's the deal. I have a hope in you. I'm going to tell it after this story, okay, as we get ready for it. So many years ago, we were at a conference in Texas, and we talked to a person who was actually responsible for a veterans hospital. And we said, we have an idea that might work for your veterans, because we can actually help themselves to regulate trauma. Because just like you said, if you and I do it now, and you have no anxiety, we're not doing anything about that anxiety. You're just getting a little bit more relaxed. But if you do it when you're out there and that anxiety comes, and you just go, okay, I'm going to tap it out. Let's see what happens. You might discover that it just goes away because it's an old signal, not relevant anymore, right? And so that's why you need to be able to do it for yourself when you need it, and also for somebody else, because you can text somebody else. You can't meditate for somebody else. You can't breathe for somebody else, right? You can't do yoga for somebody else. I wish they could. I'd hire someone. But what you can do is you can do tapping or havening for somebody else, right? So I said, we can do this. And he looked at our book and he looked at us and said, this is wonderful. I can't do it. Now, why do you think he said that? What? No, he wouldn't lose his job. They would lose their Army pension. Yeah, because they have PTSD. You take away the PTSD, they're of course it's not right. The system is failed. Just say it. But here comes my hope for you. You all have done well, or you wouldn't be here, which means you have kids which are bright and good, even if they're not easy to regulate, right? I caught that. And so next time you talk to them, if they're in any position to change anything anywhere, if they work in the public space, or one is a senator, or one is the boyfriend of a senator, or another one walks the dog of us, I don't care. If they know anyone who knows anyone, you could just suggest, you know what? I think some things in the system are just slightly out of balance. I mean, they're completely out of whack, but people don't like to hear that. They're just slightly out of balance. Like we're losing 160,000 people to suicide and overdose every year. But, it's other people. Anyhow, couldn't we just have like a little bit more funds for some more beds in the hospitals and a few more people staffing, the programs that work? Because I believe that maybe that would, one person taken out of addiction or criminal recovery at an age under 25 saves you, the taxpayer, $5 million.
Can I say this too? You want to know the fastest growing population for addiction in this country? Elderly. 30% increase because of a prescription of opioids. You have a pain, they say, here, take the opioid. And because they don't really think about on the back end, well, if you get addicted, well, they're 80. They don't care that you're now more at risk for stroke and heart attack and falling and all these other things.
If they can get 10 years out of you,
Right. But like, that's what I said, like, my job, like, I want you guys screaming from the rooftops, give me something different. I will not stand for that. Because when we stop standing for it, they won't be able to pass it to us anymore. And that's going to be the answer. I don't know if we can change the healthcare system, but we can sure change what we take from it. That's for sure. But that, that's for our elderly, it's such a mess. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, well, in heart they are, we use them all the time. But no, I mean yeah. So I couldn't speak for that nationally. I will say this. We are slowly creating ripples, and changing things.
What did she just say?
She said, are the tools we're teaching being used in AA and NA, Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous? So there are a lot of paths to recovery, and recovery is not just about addiction. I mean, the substance is the solution to a problem. It's a bad one. But that's what I think. We got to give people other tools. We got to give people other resources. So, one of the things that, like, for me, one of my big takeaways and lessons, I have so many lessons from all. But one is that when you have an emotion, anxiety, I'm afraid, ask this question: what is it that you need? And most of us ask, why am I anxious? But what is it that I need? Do I need information? Do I need a skill? Do I need a resource? Do I need a state? Like, do I need to leave? Right? So if I'm anxious, what is it that I need? And one of our inmates, she actually left today. She was one I cried about, but she hadn't signed her release papers the other day. She was very anxious. And she had listened to Ulf, and she came to me, she said, Kerri, I need information. And I said, what do you need information on? She goes, I need to know when my release papers are going to get here. So we got that information, and guess what happened to her anxiety? Gone. But she knew how to ask for what she needed instead of sitting there thinking, I'm freaking out. Your emotions are there for a reason. Yes. We need all this taught in kindergarten.
how many here know a teacher? How many here know a teacher? Raise a hand if you know a teacher.
So I taught this pre-K to second grade in Henrico County. Do you know how many other schools do what I did? 0. Do you know the last time I got asked to go speak to counselors in Henrico County, I got bumped off the program because it was tapping. I got bumped off. Now, Hanover County just asked me, and I just trained every psychologist, social worker, and counselor in Hanover County, but they recognize they need more tools. But, right, but it needs to be taught preschool. If you can teach preschoolers how to tap, you can teach them how to haven, and guess how much more regulated they would be. You know what a 3-year-old looks like? They're like, I love you. Because their nervous system is still developing. They're trying to regulate, and their brain is pruning itself. So when you teach kids these skills and you give them a map, God, I've learned so much this week. A map, they follow it. They follow it. Right? They follow it.
We had a question right there.
Can it help with cancer?
Does it help with cancer? I have a thought, but I'll take it first.
Okay, so I see lots of clients. Because this is a brief intervention, normally if you do CBT or you do another kind of exposure therapy or a psychoanalysis, you see people 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 times over 2 years. I see people twice over a month. And that's usually enough, sometimes not, sometimes it's longer. But it means that I get to see a lot of people rather than a lot of times. I've seen over 4,000 people. And out of those, a fair share have been not struggling, not fighting, finding out how to dance with their cancer. Right? And so here's the deal. We have ideas about what causes cancer, but we cannot say for sure. My grandmother smoked her whole life until she lost taste at 89 and said, you don't have to buy me any more cigarettes. Then she continued to 101. Thank you so much, but I don't need them. Why? Why did you quit smoking? Can't taste them. But by all rules, she should have gone way earlier, but she did. She was stubborn. Good genes, probably environment, We don't know, right? So we cannot say what does or does not cause cancer for sure. We cannot say what cures or does not cure cancer for sure. But we do know, and this is from when Miss Kennedy had cancer. She didn't want to do the chemotherapy. This is like 15, 20 years ago. So she said, I want to go the other way. I want to go with the immune system. I want to raise because cancer is when your immune system can't kick cancer out. We all have cancer all the time since we're a baby, but the body kicks it out all the time. And the immune system goes lower and lower and lower to a point where it can't kick it out. And that's when it arrives. And so what you do is you raise your immune system, see if that can help that to be kicked out. And there are loads of science and cases where it actually does. And it even prevents it from breaking out, right? So if you do the tapping daily, whether you have it already or you think you might have it or you're fearful of having it, the fearfulness can be more detrimental to that than the actual cancer.
And I think some of the studies that Peter Stapleton has done, and I think I gave you guys this the last time, but we saw 113% increase in immune function in people who tapped. So that's huge. And I want you to think about this. So disease, dis-ease, okay? It's out of balance. The number one health problem, I think, in the world is stress. It is more dangerous than any other disease that there is because you got cortisol and adrenaline running all day long, every day. And so the body's going to prioritize the threat that it thinks is there. It's an illusion. There isn't a threat, but when cortisol and adrenaline are high, the body's thinking, I got to survive. And it doesn't put resources to what's wrong. If Ulf and I are running from a bear and he has COVID, what's the bigger threat, the bear or the COVID? The bear, yeah. So the body's like, screw COVID, we'll deal with that if we make it. Okay? So we're leaving the body in state. We're a world in survival, guys. You want to talk about what's wrong with kids? They're in survival. That's what's wrong, and they don't know how to get out. So I think when you create ease in the body and you balance things out with tools, not pills, with tools, your body will prioritize what's wrong. Now, Duke University is doing a study right now on tapping in cancer treatment and looking at the effects on chemotherapy and radiation. So there's some research out there. There are some I think a lot of medical places use it, but Duke is one that's close to us that we all know. But they are using that. And, I think anytime we're creating balance in the body, we're cooking with Crisco and we're going to all be a lot better off. I mean, end of story. Regardless of
Is that an answer? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Question, how long is a session? So I teach middle school. So I teach. How long is a session? Like, could I do it with my students in like 5 minutes?
Yes.
I take 5 minutes.
Yes.
To, what do I,
Yes.
what do I do?
Anything. I mean, the answer is it depends how long is the string. But the answer is 5 minutes has been shown to have like an 80% effect on 80% of all people that try it, just in 5 minutes. It depends on how they slept, how's their home, how are they changed, what happened in their DNA, everything, all that. But generally, if you just do a 5-minute session every day, you're changing the trajectory of their lives.
So I will tell you, in my elementary school that I worked in, every morning, open the school day, the entire school tapped. Not for 30 minutes, 4 or 5, with some visualization and a little bit of meditation. Before lunch, every kid stopped, teachers tapped, kids tapped. At the end of the day, before everybody went home, guess what they did? A couple rounds of tapping. Kids started to lead it themselves. And so we saw the biggest in the people who benefited. This is the kids really benefited, and they're so much faster. But you know who else benefited? Every one of our teachers. Our teachers were like, holy smoke. So there are some schools that are doing. I've trained a couple of middle schools, but it's small amount of investment for a lot of time. Now with middle schoolers, it's this. That doesn't seem cool. It's just dumb, y'all. You get some of that feedback, but there are a lot of famous, like, there are athletes who tap. So I use people like Russell Wilson and some people they admire, LeBron, Kobe, people who are big meditators and regulators. So I use that to get my guys. But what happens if it becomes a culture? You got to have a leader that buys it though, or just be the leader in the classroom. I have schools where I just know one teacher's doing it. But there is a tapping in schools. It's a Facebook group. They have a lot of curriculum out there. That'd be a good place to look.
Did you see the movie Misty Mountains with Jane Fonda about the gorillas? You got to make a friend with the biggest silverback first. Right. Yes. And I mean, it's, so the thing is this, one of the things we know about cognitive decline, and bless us, we get it if we live long enough. That's how it works. And so what it has shown is that when you get cognitive decline, depending on how it's working, because there's like 10 different kinds, and it depends on what the brain and classification and all, all those things. So here's the deal. If you get cognitive decline and it stops you from remembering parts of your life, you might stay with the anxiety, but you have no idea where it's coming from. So what we've been doing, we've been teaching people, and we've done it ourselves, to keep tapping even for somebody who has complete cognitive decline, and their anxiety goes down, and they're peaceful, because it allows the body with that cognitive decline to relax. Doesn't it?
Right. And if you think about it this way, in survival, if you're ramped up and you're anxious, that's the threat. So the front of our brain that controls logic, reason, it gives you the map, and that turns off, as does memory. So just the only thing that's on is the alarm. And that alarm bell, when it goes off, and that's why you can't teach kids in survival. I don't care. You might be an amazing teacher, but if you've got a kid sitting there who didn't eat today, whose dad beat the crap out of their mom last night, their social studies is really not relevant. So we've got to get kids out of survival so we make available to people when they're trying to learn the learning and the memory part of their brains. Because when you take a test, it's not your learning part that's helping you, it's your memory part. It's the connection. As teachers, we're trying to put it here, here. That's what all of them are trying to do.
Uh-huh.
Here, here. That's what we're showing you.
But there's lots of studies on tapping in schools, yes?
Teach them how to calm down first. So I'm telling you meditation, which is find them.
Yeah.
Meditate.
Yeah, meditation is amazing.
And one day we were going on a field trip. Let's get ready.
Yeah.
I said, you want to? They said, oh, I said, oh, ready quickly.
Yeah.
We'll meditate.
Yeah, I think making it part of a routine in a classroom and just like, if this is what we're gonna do, is super helpful. Yeah.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Can't teach them if they're not ready physically.
And mentally, you gotta have the part of the brain you need. So can I get Alt to
There
teach
was
you
one
guys?
more question here.
Wait, I wanted you to teach one more tool and then we'll go to questions. Can I get Alt to teach one more tool? I want another tool? You do
Can she ask her question first?
Sure.
I hate when I sit with questions, because then the question is going like this, and then you forget it and you're mad the rest of the day. And she
Go ahead,
beat
go
you
ahead.
up.
How do you get someone, I'm talking about this son,
Uh,
who, the minute I mention it, it's like,
How old is he?
53.
53?
He's very smart. He's a nerd and he's
Yeah.
very smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say show him the science. He's really smart.
I told him there's been science, but he does.
He doesn't want to do tapping?
It's almost like he thinks it's snake oil science.
Yeah. Okay, what does he believe in?
I
I mean, he must like something.
himself.
No, but he believes in something. Football, what?
Oh, yeah, he loves golf.
He loves golf. Yeah. So you tell him that one of the most well-known golfers in the world tried this to beat all the other golfers in a game, and it worked, but you're not going to show him.
Right, and there's actually a book of tapping, increasing performance for athletes, but golf is one of the biggest places we've used tapping. There's, because but think about like anxiety is not your friend in golf. Relaxation is. So it's a superpower.
I want to give you, what you can give him as a reward, if he listens to you, you can tell him, I can give you the most well-working way of psyching your opponent in golf. You know what that is? Just before you go on to the game, you just say, by the way, before you pull your club back, you breathe in or out. Yeah.
I'll repeat the question.
Been gone 8 years. He was at home in hospice for 15 months. And we lived in a 100-year-old house over on Three Chop that had a 2-story foyer. And every night he would have to go up those steps to bed. He had congestive heart failure. And it got so, we had 14 steps, then there was a landing, and then there were 12 more steps. And somebody said, well, do you go up behind him? I said, no, I'm not crazy. If he falls on me, who's gonna go? And so, well, I would wait till he got to the landing and then he'd go up. But as he progressed through this, he would collapse, totally collapse. And you could sense the anxiety that he had. I'm not gonna be able to get back up. What I did is I would sit down beside him and pat him on the leg
And tap on it.
and say, breathe in, blow out. Breathe in. And he would regain his ability to get the rest of the way up the steps.
Yeah, you just intuitively knew what you had to do.
And it was incredible to watch this man who had done all the things he had done in his life. He died so graciously, with so much faith. That's what carried him through.
Sure.
He said, I know where I'm going. I just don't want to go through the process.
Yeah.
So
That,
that was, but I knew nothing about tapping or anything. But I was watching. I was actually probably doing
sure.
with him and seeing the results
Yeah.
very quickly. So I understand everything you're saying.
Yeah.
That's why, you know.
Well, I think having babies, and think about how many babies take blankets and they pat or they rub right under their noses with something and yeah, we pat them or we rub their arms. Yeah. Yeah.
We have songs to sing in jail as well.
We do have songs to sing in jail. So yeah, we got to get going. I was going to get you show maybe Super Focus. That's a fast one, or do you have a faster one?
Not really. Super Focus is fine. You want to use Super Focus?
Sure. whatever
You ready
say.
for Super? Whenever I say, I like that. All right, now we have a coat. I always wanted one. Rub your hands real fast, as if you're making up fire. If it starts smoking, stop. And now, a little bit faster. Close your eyes and do this with your hands. So you're trying to feel if you can sense anything between the palms of your hands. Sense anything between the palms of your hands. Slow them down, slow them down, slow them down. And now they're at a certain distance, and that's fine. And they're around the height of your face. Now keep some air between your hands. Just breathe in. Now blow a thin stream of air between your hands. Breathe in. Thin stream of air between your hands. Relax. Keep your hands in the air. And now start relaxing your fingers. Allow them to relax and see how much they can relax. And when you think they're relaxed, help them a little bit more. And notice that what you thought was relaxed wasn't as relaxed as they could be. Because when they're really relaxed, they're like the hands of a baby or a squirrel. Totally curved. Fingertips almost touching palm. Trees in Florida can be wonderful. That's a hypnotic grammar. Just allow your fingertips to relax a little bit more. Roger Moore, played Bond, James Bond. There you go, relax deeper and deeper. And notice what you're doing now is you're using propriosity, which is how your body knows where your limbs are, in case you forget, to tell your brain that you can relax even more. And when your fingertips are so relaxed that you basically can't think of them being more relaxed, you realize you can't think of them being more relaxed, you can relax because you don't have to think about it anymore. Watch. As you do this, you've now shifted your baseline and your focus. You could basically solve any problem in the world if you wish to, or you could just go and have a glass of wine and smile and laugh and talk about it. It's fine too. So now, take a deep breath. Open your eyes, hold your hands up for the third time. Blow away those butterflies. How does that feel? You feel all right? Good news, this is legal. Nobody's going to jail for this.
All right, we probably have 5 minutes before you and I have to go back to jail.
Okay? So even,
We're actually happy about it. We're gonna sing with them.
Yeah.
Offer a song.
yeah. And even better news, you know what that is? If you would go to jail, there's a really good jail in town.
Yeah, ask for me when you get there.
And if you'd gotten here sooner, you'd have heard us singing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What were y'all singing?
Much too sophisticated. We get rounds. We did an old Girl Scout song.
Yeah. Oh. Did you already write the recovery song that you're gonna do?
I did write it down. Do you want to do the same recovery song that they're doing in jail? And you can tell your homies in the wine bar that you know how to sing jail songs.
We do a lot of singing in Hart. We really do.
So here's the deal. The lyrics on the song, I've been a lot in New Orleans. Anybody here been to New Orleans, actually? Yeah, you, okay. So I have a soul father there called Rodman Henry. Anybody remember him? I ain't got no home, but I do. Yep. Well, I backed him up in Sweden a couple of years and then we became really good friends and I went there 30 times. Just to explore that. So it's a kind of New Orleans rhythm. Can you handle that? No, it's kind of groovy.
Do you want to play?
I'll play, and sing. And so you gotta do the chorus, right? And the chorus is about when you screw up in life, you can't roll up and curl yourself into a ball because dying of shame is not gonna set things right. You got that? So we use shame, we tell people you should be ashamed, I have so much faith in you. That shame is not gonna help. So shame isn't love, it's self-pity. The pity party. Drop shame and life becomes better. Okay? Just saying. And I bet all of you are happy with the amount of shame you've had so far in life. You feel you're done with it, or do you want some more before?
I'm done.
You're done? Okay, so instead of being ashamed of anything you did that might have been wrong, own it in action. Do something about it. That's what this song is about. So, what you have to do now is you have to both clap your hands and sing, so it's a cognitive test. So it's like this. I took a left when I should have took a right. I gotta get back into the light. I took a left when I should have took a right. I gotta get back into the light. You took a left.
I get back in the light. But when I should have took a right. Gotta get back in the light.
Got it? Okay, you're good. You're almost as good as the female pod and the male pod together. So it might be you that go to Sweden on tour instead of them.
They're gonna fight you for it.
They will. Are you ready for some New Orleans grooves?
Yeah.
It's not like the Swedish stuff. Time rough and I know it ain't right. Want a child to be born into the fight. But my past, and I can make it right. I found out how to set it right. I gotta find out who I am. Beyond the pain and the dark in my pants, I need a little love on the way. If you ever hear me say, I took a little and I took a right, and gotta get back into the light. Took a little and I took a right, but get back into the light. I need the fire and I race for what? Thanks to I make sure that I've got the tall and still. A solid mindset and a grindstone will. I'll make it proud till I never give up. Cause it ain't over until it stops. And if I stumble, if I fall, it's part of my road and that's all because I looked up when I should have tried. I took a look when I should have took a right. I gotta get back to the light. Get back into the light. And the road slips out of sight. I need love to keep it right. So help me walk in the extra mile. I gotta see it in your smile. Well, I'm gonna move from the pain to the game. I need a new map to up my game. I'm gonna need a little love of me. So look me up if you hear me say, I took a look and I should have been right. Get back to the light. It's not that I don't care. You know, my apology is really true and sincere. A shade ain't helping me get nowhere. Cause God knows I tried, I swear. When I should have right, get back into the light. Oh. They don't choose the right time. That's what you do today.
So, when did you write this song?
Last morning.
So I've been working off like a dog. I don't even know when he wrote that song, but we're getting ready to go teach it to, I think the women already know it. The men don't yet, but if most of you don't have a TikTok, but I'll try to give Willow a taping of it where you can see them singing it.
Channel
Man.
6 News?
Well, yeah, and we'll be on Channel 6 News. We just had Channel 6 News. They're talking to Ulf and I yesterday. I don't know when it'll be on, but I'll give my mom a heads up. They're working on the story right now. Man, that's amazing. I love that song.
Yeah.
And I love you. And I'm so glad you did. And man, so guys, I'm glad I got to share all Sandstrom and Melody with you guys. You're welcome. All right. We got to scoot to jail. Not many people say that, right? Thank y'all for having us. Yes.